Let me ask you a question. What if the only thing standing between the life you have right now and the life you've always dreamed of is not money, not education, not luck, not connections? What if it's simply the way you think? Most people spend their lives trying to change everything outside of them. They chase jobs, chase relationships, chase opportunities, hoping something out there will magically fix their lives. But here's the truth. Nothing outside of you will change until something inside of you changes first. Your mindset is the master switch. The moment you shift it, the moment you learn to think bigger, the entire direction of your life begins to change. Think about it. Every breakthrough, every invention, every person who went from nothing to extraordinary had to make that one decision to expand their thinking, to believe there was something more, to refuse to be trapped by the same small patterns everyone else accepted as normal. And here's why you need to stay with me until the very end of this message. Because the next few minutes could flip a switch inside you that no one else has ever dared to touch. You're going to hear the truth that your teachers didn't tell you, your family may never have shown you. Society doesn't want you to believe that you are capable of so much more than you're currently living. This is not just about motivation, it's about transformation. If you're tired of living beneath your potential, tired of replaying the same struggles, tired of asking yourself why nothing ever changes, then listen closely. Because I'm about to show you how to rewire the way you think, how to break the chains of limitation, how to step into a life that's not just a little bit better, but radically greater. Stay with me, because by the time we're done, you won't just hear these words, you'll feel them, you'll own them, you'll walk away with the power to change everything. You see, the first thing we need to understand is that the way you see the world determines the world you create for yourself. It's not your job, it's not your bank account, it's not even the people around you, it's the perspective you carry that shapes your reality. Two people can go through the exact same situation, face the same obstacle, experience the same setback, yet walk away with two completely different outcomes. Why? Because one saw it as the end, while the other saw it as a beginning. One saw it as punishment, the other as preparation. That's the power of perspective. Most people don't realize how much control they actually have over the meaning they assign to events in their lives. You can take something painful and let it bury you, or you can decide that it will build you. You can look at failure and label yourself as not good enough, or you can see it as the exact feedback you needed to grow stronger, smarter, and sharper. The meaning you give things becomes the foundation of your life. Change the meaning. You change your reality. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who've achieved greatness in any field. Business, sports, art, science, leadership. Every single one of them faced moments that could have broken them. What made the difference wasn't that they had it easier than you. It wasn't that they were born with some magical gift. It was the way they looked at life. They saw challenges as fuel. They saw setbacks as setups. They believed that life was not happening to them, but for them. That perspective gave them power, and that power created results. Now here's the catch. If you don't take ownership of your perspective will be owned by your environment. If you don't consciously choose how to see things, you'll inherit the beliefs of the people around you. You'll absorb society's fears, your family's doubts, the media's negativity. And before you know it, you're living in a box, not because it's real, but because that's the way you've been trained to see. You stop dreaming big. You stop taking risks. You stop believing that something greater is possible. Not because you can't, but because you've convinced yourself you can't. And the moment you decide to shift your perspective, you unlock a level of freedom most people never taste. Imagine if, instead of seeing problems as walls, you started to see them as doors. Imagine if, instead of asking, why me, you started asking, what's the gift here? Imagine if every challenge became a classroom, every mistake became a stepping stone, every failure became fuel for your next breakthrough. Suddenly the same life looks completely different. Nothing outside of you has changed, but everything inside of you has. And that inner shift changes the way you act, the way you speak, the way you move, and ultimately the results you create. Let me give you a truth that can change everything. Your perspective is a choice. It's not fixed. It's not something you're stuck with. You can choose to focus on the lack. You can choose to focus on the possibility. You can choose to complain about the difficulty, or you can choose to celebrate the opportunity hidden inside it. Whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on the limits, you'll see more limits. If you focus on the potential, you'll see more potential. It's as simple and as powerful as that. The problem is most people don't even pause long enough to realize they have a choice. They're living on autopilot, running the same stories, repeating the same patterns, and wondering why nothing changes. But the moment you interrupt that cycle, the moment you catch yourself and ask, how else could I see this? What else could this mean? How could this actually serve me? That's when life begins to open up. That's when thinking bigger becomes possible. Because here's the truth. If you see yourself as small, you'll act small, you'll decide small, you'll live small. If you see yourself as powerful, capable, and destined for more, you'll start showing up in ways that match that identity. Perspective is not just about how you see the world. It's about how you see yourself. And when you shift how you see yourself, everything outside of you begins to rearrange to match it. So I want you to ask yourself right now, what perspective have you been living with? Have you been walking through life with the eyes of limitation or with the eyes of possibility? Have you been carrying the perspective of a victim or the perspective of a creator? Because the moment you decide to upgrade the lens you're looking through, the entire picture of your life changes. That's the power of perspective. It is the foundation of thinking bigger, and it's the first step to changing your life. Most people are not trapped by the outside world. They're trapped by the invisible walls they've built inside their own mind. And these walls have a name: limiting beliefs. They're the silent scripts running in the background of your life, dictating what you attempt, what you avoid, and ultimately what you allow yourself to become. You may not even realize it, but every time you say, I can't, or I'm not that type of person, or I'll never be able to do that, you're reinforcing those walls, and the longer you believe them, the more real they become. Here's the truth. Most of these beliefs were never yours to begin with. They were given to you. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed them from a parent who said money doesn't grow on trees, from a teacher who told you weren't smart enough, a failure that left you feeling unworthy, from a society that conditions people to fit in instead of stand out, and without even realizing it, you accepted those ideas as fact. But they're not facts, they're stories. Stories you've rehearsed for so long that they feel like truth. The problem with limiting beliefs is they shape your decisions before you ever take action. If you believe you're not capable, you won't even try. If you believe you don't deserve success, you'll sabotage it the moment it shows up. If you believe the best days of your life are behind you, you'll never step into the opportunities right in front of you. Beliefs are like thermostats. They set the limit of how much success, how much love, how much joy you allow yourself to experience. And until you reset the thermostat, you'll keep living at the same level, no matter how hard you try to break free. Here's the good news. You can change what you believe. Just because a belief feels real doesn't mean it's true. And just because you've carried it for years doesn't mean you have to carry it another day. The first step is awareness. You've got to start noticing the lies you've been telling yourself. Notice when you say, I'm not good with people. Notice when you say, I'm just not disciplined. Notice when you think, that's for other people, not me. Every time you catch one, shine a light on it. Because once you expose it, it starts to lose its power. Then you replace it. You ask yourself, is this belief serving me or is it limiting me? If it's limiting you, you let it go and you install a new one. Instead of, I can't, you begin to declare, I can learn. I'm not enough. You start affirming, I am worthy of more. Instead of, I always fail. You choose, every failure teaches me and prepares me to win. And at first, it feels fake. At first, it feels like you're lying to yourself. But what you're actually doing is reprogramming your mind. The same way you rehearse your limitations into existence, you can rehearse your power into existence. Think about this. Every person who has ever accomplished something extraordinary had to break through beliefs that told them it wasn't possible. The Wright brothers were told humans would never fly. Edison was told light could never be harnessed that way. Athletes were told no one could run a mile in under 4 minutes. Each one of those things was impossible until someone broke the belief. And the moment they did, suddenly everyone else started doing it too. That's the crazy part. Once one person breaks a limiting belief, it creates permission for others to do the same. You have those same walls waiting to be shattered. The difference between where you are and where you could be is not your talent, not your resources, not your circumstances. It's the beliefs you're still holding on to. And the moment you break them, moment you decide to no longer live under those limits, everything shifts. You open doors that were always there, but you couldn't see. You access strengths you didn't even know you had. You begin to act in ways that align with your true potential, your conditioned doubts. So the question is, which beliefs are you going to let go of today? Which lies are you willing to stop repeating to yourself? Because the minute you destroy those invisible chains, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your future. That's why breaking free from limiting beliefs is non-negotiable if you want to change your life. Comfort is seductive. It whispers to you that you're safe, that you're fine where you are, that you don't need to push any harder or dream any bigger. But let's be honest, comfort doesn't lead to growth. It doesn't lead to breakthroughs. And it definitely doesn't lead to greatness. Comfort zones might protect you from pain. They also rob you of possibility. The life you want, the future you imagine, it's never inside the walls of comfort. It's always on the other side, waiting for you to step out. When you expand your vision, you start to see just how small you've been thinking. Most people don't even realize they've been playing life on a tiny scale. They aim for survival instead of impact. They aim for good enough instead of extraordinary. It's not because they don't want more. It's because they've settled into a pattern that tells them this is all they should expect. But here's the truth. Your vision sets the boundaries for your life. If your vision is small, your life will be small. If your vision is massive, your life will rise to meet it. Think about this. Every major breakthrough in history started with someone who dared to imagine something beyond what was normal. They didn't accept the limits that everyone else agreed upon. They stretched their vision so far that people laughed at them, doubted them, called them crazy. And that's exactly the reaction you should expect when you choose to think bigger. Everyone instantly understands and supports your vision. It's probably too small. A big vision should scare you a little and excite you a lot. It should make you question whether you're capable and then force you to grow into the person who is. The danger of staying small is that you trade potential for predictability. You trade a life of purpose for a life of safety. And at the end of the day, safety is an illusion anyway. Playing small doesn't guarantee security. It just guarantees regret. Because you'll never know what you could have become, what impact you could have made, what experiences you could have lived if you had just dared to expand your vision. Expanding your vision isn't about being unrealistic. It's about refusing to be restricted. It's about asking yourself, what if there's more for me than this? If I'm capable of 10 times what I've been settling for? And the moment you start asking those questions, your mind begins to stretch. It starts looking for answers, opportunities, and strategies that were invisible to you before. You don't attract bigger opportunities by staying the same. You attract them by becoming the kind of person who can handle them. Here's what happens when you stretch your vision, your energy changes. You wake up with purpose because you're chasing something that matters. Your conversations change because you're no longer interested in gossip or distractions. You're focused on building something that lasts. Your habits change because the vision demands more of you and you rise to the challenge. That's how transformation works. It's not about forcing discipline. It's about creating a vision so compelling that discipline becomes natural. Here's the key. You cannot expand your vision if you're unwilling to step into uncertainty. Growth and certainty cannot coexist. If you need everything planned, guaranteed, and safe, you'll never expand beyond where you are. Thinking bigger requires courage. It requires you to take steps without knowing exactly where they lead, to trust yourself enough to figure things out along the way. Every great achievement was once a risk. Every fulfilled life was once a leap into the unknown. And don't think expanding your vision is just about material success. It's about the kind of human being you choose to become. It's about the quality of relationships you create, level of impact you have, the amount of joy and freedom you allow yourself to experience. A small vision shrinks all of that. A big vision expands all of that. The size of your life will always mirror the size of your vision. So if you've been living inside the walls of comfort, I want you to ask yourself, what's the vision I've been too afraid to admit? What's the dream I've been burying because I thought it was too big for me? What's the life that scares me to imagine, excites me to the core? That's the vision you need to chase. That's the vision that will pull you forward when times get tough, that will fuel you when you feel like quitting, that will shape you into the person you were meant to be. Expanding your vision is not optional if you want to live a life of meaning. It's the gateway to everything greater that's waiting for you. You can shift your perspective. You can break free from limiting beliefs. You can expand your vision beyond comfort, but none of that means anything if you don't take action. A changed mindset without movement is just a daydream, and daydreams don't change lives. It's action and relentless action that turns ideas into reality. It's action that transforms possibilities into achievements. You can think bigger all day long, but unless you act bigger, your life stays the same. Most people hesitate when it comes to action. They wait until they feel ready, until the plan is perfect, until the fear disappears. But here's the problem. Waiting kills momentum. The longer you wait, the heavier the fear becomes. Action is what destroys fear, not the other way around. The moment you take that first step, no matter how small, you shift the energy. You tell your brain, I'm moving forward, and that momentum begins to carry you. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. Think about it. Every skill you've ever developed, every breakthrough you've ever had, it happened because you acted first. You didn't wait until you were an expert to start learning. You didn't wait until you were fearless to take a leap. You just did it by doing it. You grew into the person capable of more. That's how life works. You act, you adjust, you grow. And the people who succeed at the highest levels aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who do the most. They execute. They follow through. They keep moving no matter how messy it looks. Now, when I say relentless action, I don't mean random activity. I mean aligned, intentional action that's connected to your bigger vision. Because action without clarity is just business. But when your vision is clear, your action becomes powerful. It doesn't matter if you don't have the whole path figured out. You just need the next step, the next call, the next habit, the next conversation, the next move. You string enough of those small actions together and suddenly you're miles ahead of where you started. But let's be real. Taking relentless action means you're going to face setbacks. You're going to stumble. You're going to fail. You're going to hit walls. And that's where most people quit. They mistake failure as a stop sign instead of a stepping stone. But here's the truth. Relentless action means you don't stop just because it's hard. You don't stop just because it didn't work the first time. You keep going, you adapt, you push through. Every failure is feedback. Every obstacle is training. Every detour is building resilience in you. Action isn't about getting it perfect. It's about refusing to stop until it works. One of the greatest lies people believe is that successful people are simply lucky. No, they acted when others hesitated. They kept moving when others gave up. They built habits of consistent daily action that compounded over time into extraordinary results. You don't need to move mountains in a day. You just need to move one rock and then another and then another. Consistency beats intensity every time. If you show up day after day, relentlessly taking steps aligned with your bigger vision, your life cannot stay the same. Here's something else to understand. Your brain and body come alive through movement. When you sit still, waiting for motivation, you'll never find it. But when you act, when you push forward, motivation shows up, energy shows up, creativity shows up. It's like turning the ignition on a car. It doesn't move until you start it. The act of moving is what generates the power to keep going. And let's not forget, relentless action is not just about chasing goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who follows through, who doesn't quit on themselves, who keeps their word. Every time you act in alignment with your vision, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that you can be trusted to do what you said you do. And that confidence becomes unshakable. It's no longer about what you achieve. It's about who you become in the process. So don't wait for the perfect time, because there is no perfect time. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission, because no one is coming to save you. Wait until the fear is gone, because fear never disappears. It just loses its grip when you move anyway. Take the step, make the call, write the page, start the project, launch the idea, whatever it is, start now. Action is the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. That's why relentless action fueled by a bigger mindset is the final piece that turns your vision into reality.